Hey everybody, today I want to tell you about a few more trees and small conifers we can use in containers. And also, I would also like to show a few pots to give you kind of an idea of what I mean when I say a tree in a pot. Just give you an idea of what size works well and what you can do with different materials, different shapes, how to use different shapes, and yeah, I've got a nice collection of small conifers here that really do well in pots. A bunch of these here I've already used. Some things have come and gone, and I've used here for a number of things. I've actually built this wooden one here. This is made out of cypress, and this is probably about 10 years old, 10 years old. I had a couple of different plants in there over the years, and right now I have a Algerian ivy and a corydalus. Now corydalus, this hopped in by itself. I didn't actually put that there, but that's just jumped in, and they're pretty hardy. They reseed really prolifically, and they bloom all summer long. So I'm not going to fault it for that, for being somewhat willing to seed around. So it's a great little plant. They get a little bit overly friendly and just spread all over the place. I've got those all over my house. So a plant that was back at my house got brought over here, and then that hopped along with it, and then has been hopping around in the little bed beside the back of the shop. So anyway, I thought it'd be helpful to give to show some of these pots. So one of the most important things of growing a tree in a pot long term is going to be the size of your container, obviously. So something like what I've got this pine in right here is going to work for this pine. I could grow this pine in here for, I would say, at least 10 years, if not 12, 15. And even longer if you're willing to do some root pruning. So that would mean you'd have to lift that up, and sometime when it's dormant. So anytime, ideally in March or April, you'd lift it up, give it a pruning, trim the roots back, get rid of circling roots, and give yourself about an inch to 2 inches, about an inch of space between the root ball and the edge of the pot. So that would give you a basically be you'd be buying yourself another 2-3 years of time, and would work quite well in there. So I was also trying to pick a few things that look good in the pots that they're in. So with standard pines like this, with the standard meaning like being raised up on a trunk like that, you want to have a pot that's about relative to the size of your trunk. So usually like 1/3 is a good calculation. So if your pot is 2 feet, I think your overall height should be right around 6, and your width, with a tree like this here, your width wouldn't really play much into it, but you want to keep your kind of in 3s. So this here is a good height for this container. So that's the pot kind of settled down in there, but that would be about 3 feet high off the top of the rim right here. And then yeah, just visually that would work really well. And then as far as plants to go with it, you can have a tree like this by itself, or you can add in some smaller conifers. This is one potential container combo right here. This is Coney Island. This is a Japanese Eastern white pine, but that would get a little bit large. Something that spills over the edge, like this pancake juniper, this would work quite well. So this would be a nice companion down in the bottom there. And for something for companion plants like that, I think my go-to would be something like a bright yellow sedum, some smaller hens and chicks, and some stuff that's got some color, ideally gold, maybe like a light blue, blue-green, something subtle. You don't, like for conifers, you don't really want to push the limits too far with bright color. It just gets a little bit too flashy. But that's all of, personal opinion as far as, taste and all that. So I also have this really cool old truck wheel. This is, I had a dwarf white pine in here for about a good 7 years, 8 years. And this is one that I planted on this garden on the outer side of the bank. And so this pot is about 2 feet wide. So at a glance, you might not think of it that it's a wheel because this one side is not on. I'm not exactly sure what kind of wheel this thing is, but it's got it's missing a piece there. So it looks more like a pot because it's got kind of that kind of bowl shape to it. And personally, I just love the color of steel, of old rusted steel, against something like I don't know, pretty much name your foliage color, and that steel just highlights it beautifully. And you can also notice here the colors of the branches on this arborvitae are similar in tone to the steel, so that actually goes together very well. This is an interesting little arborvitae. I think it's called Umbraculifera, and more of a rounded shape and kind of spreading. So you kind of want to mimic your pot and the plant should look like they belong together. Although another really great combination for this steel would be the lion's head maple. This is a really good dwarf Japanese maple, deep green leaves, really kind of spiky, like the leaves are a little bit curled up, and which gives it kind of like a starfish kind of shape to it. And then in the fall, this will turn beautifully bright, like red and yellow in the fall. So they do well in containers. They're a small tree, so that's a popular subject for containers. And yeah, overall size on that in a 8-year period, 8 to 10 year period is probably going to be figure about 5 inches of growth per year. And something fascinating about this type, this variety, they typically don't grow evenly. So you'll have a few branches that shoot out longer, some that are small that don't grow as much, and that makes it even easier to trim to keep it the right relative size for your pot, so you can keep it in there for quite a while. Another great material is hyper tufa, and this is a mixture of cement, peat moss, perlite, vermiculite. I think it's just those ingredients. I've even heard of using potting mix. So a lot of your potting mixes would be based on perlite and peat moss, so that makes sense there. You would add in Portland cement and some extra perlite, most likely, or vermiculite. So it's a lightweight, kind of a stone-looking material, and you can make these into whatever form you like. I've seen round ones, square ones, tall ones, all kinds of different shapes. And I put a motherlode juniper, which is a good brilliant yellow, and this dwarf, or I should almost say miniature Alberta spruce. So just as a nice little pair. I would, if this were mine, if I were planting this up, I'd probably have about 5 or 6 different things in here. And you want to go, like, smaller is better. So something like little LEB, this little dwarf hanoki, this is a really cute little thing for containers. And there's a whole range of really tight, slow growing hanokis, this being one of them. Got a few more small ones that weren't quite big enough to show off today, but there's some really nice colors of gold and green. Another nice one is hemlocks. There's a great variety of miniature hemlocks. This one isn't quite miniature, but it's definitely dwarf. This is called Jervis. Very spiky growth and kind of bushy growing. So really cute. It'll do part shade as well. So if you have a patio that gets about 4 hours of light, this will do just fine. Another one here is dwarf elm. This is Jacqueline Hillier, and slow growing, easily trimmed. Although ultimate size on this here is a bit large for a container. Although if you have something like this one here, where I've got the maple in, this would work pretty well for quite a while. You've got enough depth in the pot that it'll be plenty of root mass for a good number of years. Now, just for the height of this particular pot, I would be putting something larger. So I chose this maple, and this here would cascade out. And again, you'd get, on a maple, this grows a little bit faster. You'd be looking at least 5 years on that, and longer if you care to root prune. So a little bit extra effort will go a long way for that. Another one here in the back that I really, really like. This is a gold-tipped, kind of bluish Japanese white pine. This is called Goldilocks, and definitely going to be on the higher, on the larger side. But now this here would work very, very well in this container here. So this one's about almost 2 feet tall, and the opening is about 18 by 18. So again, this would last for a number of years. I'd say at least 8 years for this particular pine. The growth rate on here is about 6 to 8 inches, and that's, you know, without being nipped back. So if you care to do some pruning and remove some of the new growth, you can keep them smaller. You got to be careful. You're going to you want to try and maintain a good shape. So they have a very interesting kind of architectural shape to them. So they're very, very cool. So you got to be careful your pruning isn't making it into a bush, and therefore you would lose the natural character that these have. But easily pruned. The color, the foliage color, is just extremely cool. And another one here. Let's see. I've got one of my steel containers here. This in here I had made about let me think here, a good 12 years ago. I've had this thing for a little while, and it looks like it always did. I actually, after I got these, I sprayed some cleaner on to get rid of the oily finish on the steel, so it would rust quicker. I wanted that rust effect right away. So once it's colored like that, it'll stay like that. And I like the way the rust color goes with this foliage of this henoki. This one's called Butterball. In my opinion, this here is one of the best of the dwarf round, real globe-shaped henokis. There's quite a few different kinds out there, but Butterball is easily my favorite. It's very sun tolerant, and I haven't seen it burn. Now that's for us here in Pennsylvania, and I've grown it in full sun, and it's done really, really well. And another cool one here is the dwarf pagoda holly. Now, if you would use this, you would have to be able to bring it inside. So they're hardy to zone 6, which is what we are. And if we have a cold winter, it's probably not going to make it if it's out in a pot. But if you can bring that in the garage, somewhere protected, should be all right. In the ground, they're okay, but being raised up out of the ground, they'll get a little too cold and they'll really suffer. But now if you put that dark green against that rust, it doesn't pop as much as the gold, but it's a real beauty. Another thing another plant here that, so I mentioned about the branches on this arborvitae being somewhat tan. The buds on this little spruce have that similar tan color, even a little bit darker, and that would go well with this steel. So that being in there would work pretty well. Although, I think if I were arranging that, I'd probably put the butterball in the top there, and that would kind of fill out a large, kind of like a round mushroom shape there, and then plant this here in the hypertufa container and have that sitting right in front of the steel. That way you're seeing these dark green needles and these tan buds against, right in front of that red steel. So there's endless combinations, and yeah, sky's the limit, whatever you like to see. I think I forgot to mention this other little pine here. This is called Nelly D. This is another great Japanese white pine. Smaller needles, a little bit finer featured, and just a really, really cool shape. So growth rate is going to be about the same, about 6 inches a year. A little bit smaller than Goldilocks. And this one here has a really cool form starting off here. So whenever you're choosing a pine, or any conifer for that matter, just take a minute to look to see what kind of shape is developing and which one you like best. And then you can join that to your container shape, make sure everything blends really well, and just turn it just the right way, and yeah, you'll be set. So yeah, a lot of stuff out of wood you can make yourself. I've done these myself here. I have several different styles. You want to choose a really long-lasting wood. My favorite one here is cypress. I have some of these that are over 10 years old and they're still fine. It depends on how much you move them. If you move them around a lot, they can get a little bit broken up. But this guy's been doing great, and I should make a few more. They're really cool. They weather really nice. They turn nice and silver. Hypertufa is very simple to make, and you can form it into any kind of shape. Yeah, you can make molds. You can use a dish pan or anything you like, and then after it's somewhat dry, you can kind of rough the edges and make it look a little more like a stone. So the idea is to kind of copy the look of natural stone, but at a very small fraction of the cost of a real stone trough. So they last for anywhere from 2-3 years if they're very poorly made, or 10-15 if they're very well done and very well cured. So they're simple. It's an easy little weekend project. The steel ones are probably pretty high on my list as far as being my favorite type, and that you'll have to either find a friend who is a welder, or I don't know, buy some steel and a welder yourself. But that's a bit more complicated. So we carry a few of these here at the nursery, and yeah, we can get stuff custom made, different sizes, all of that. So lots of fun. So yeah, that's it for today, and we'll see you again next time. Hey guys, thanks for watching. To see more of our videos, don't forget to like and subscribe, and click the notification bell so you can see when new videos get uploaded. And we'll see you again soon.